here with Professor Thomas Rozdzynski, the founder and head coach at Roll Academy in Chicago, Roll.tv, content creator, and Roll podcast, right? Roll Radio podcast. And that's how we met. I did his first podcast.
Do you remember that?
It's been so. It feels like a long time ago, right?
It's been a long time.
How long has it been?
4 years.
4 years, yeah. Was it during the pandemic?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I remember you sharing with me how you started your gym, right? Met you through Adam Rezovic, and you told me about you were going to do like documentaries, right? You had a corporate job, and you wanted to do like a documentary, Jiu-Jitsu documentary. You did a few, right? With Andre Galvao and a few other guys. You were going to do this documentary kind of business, right? Because Jiu-Jitsu is your passion. You've been training for so many years. And then you basically got a place, right, for it? Like you rented out a place?
Yeah.
Well, and you put a mat to kind of record content and stuff, right? And then people started to just show up, right? For class.
It kind of started like that.
And you're like, oh man, okay. And there was no really jiu-jitsu schools around there, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, like I guess I'll teach jiu-jitsu here too, right? Mm-hmm. And then one thing led to another, and then I thought it was really cool to hear that you were like, okay, once I get this amount of students and I can kind of pay my bills, whatever, I'll quit my day job, my corporate job. Mm-hmm. Could you tell your side, your story about how you got going with the gym?
Yeah, so it kind of started as you mentioned, that we were shooting videos, and they are still on YouTube actually. All Things BJJ. That's
All Things BJJ.
That's what it's called, and I think we shot 7 of them, and they were like short 20-minute kind of documentaries. You know, Galvao was one.
20-minute, you said?
20, 30 minutes. Mm-hmm, you know, Galvao was one of them. Dantes was another. You know,
okay.
Yeah. So we've shot few of them. You know, and traveling between the gyms was difficult with all the equipment. So we thought if there was a place that we had to bring people in, it would be much easier, you know. But then at the same time, we noticed that, bringing people in and teaching jiu-jitsu or having people train jiu-jitsu was easy access to. And then it kind of pivoted off of that. And then slowly the passion for teaching began. And you know, more and more we taught, more and more people came. And then it kind of converted into that, you know. And I think consequentially, as part of all this, you know, now the podcast and other things are kind of fed off of that while the documentary is paused, you know, after I think a year or so. So it is interesting how life converts and switches from things to things.
And you had a corporate job, right? What were you doing before?
IT management.
IT management.
Yeah. I was in IT. I was an engineer by trade, and then I got into managing teams and managing people. So.
Yeah, and then could you tell the story of just how you timed your, you know, you're like, I'm gonna have this amount of students, and then I'm gonna quit my job, my day job, and I'm gonna commit fully to having the school.
Yeah, it's hard to convert from something that's very secure, like a normal 9-to-5 job, where you have a steady paycheck coming in, and to opening your own business. That's very difficult for many people. So when we started a business, you know, we calculated what was needed in order for it to be successful, what was needed for me to quit the job. And then time came along when I was counting down, you know, 60 days and, you know, 39, 29, and so on. And went to when I was able to resign.
How long was it? What was the process?
2 months.
2 months. Just 2 months. Okay.
Yeah, 2 months. Like when I knew you know, we had a date way in advance when you know, I could resign, you know, strategically we counted that. And then 2 months out, I had sticky notes on my mirror in the bathroom, and I was counting it down until I get to 0, and I resigned my job, and, you know, jiu-jitsu for life.
And here we are, and now you are in SoCal, right?
Yeah.
From Chicago. How's the weather right now in Chicago?
Raining.
In June. It's raining?
Raining right now.
What? It gets warm.
It's warm.
It's warm.
It's 65,
May,
70s.
June.
Yeah, it's you know, it's warm, but it's raining right now. I just checked this morning. We gotta head back tomorrow, so
yeah,
bittersweet.
Yeah, and so are you glad you did it? that you get to work with jiu-jitsu now?
I would never go back. I would never go back.
Why?
I think there's multiple factors. The fact of creating something original in a sense, that's one. The creative juices, if you will, are flowing every day, but also impacting other people. And I think that's the most rewarding part when you see, you know, young people coming in, and after a few years, they perhaps turn into adult classes and so on. They become young people and enter adult life. You know, that's a very very rewarding feeling, you know, especially having kids and all that, you know, and then, you know, just changing people's lives, you know, whether it's weight loss or getting, you know, feeling good or doing good things or disconnecting mentally and having a better day, you know, all that is really, really refreshing for me. So sitting back and just watching people smile, that's the best part.
Yeah, nice. And then you started doing TAC-FIT, right? You got certified in TAC-FIT and Club Bell. And have you seen your body, you know, things change within you?
So that it's really interesting, right? Because you and I, we've talked about this many times when we've met, you know, and obviously moving around and working out is all, everybody knows it's good for you. But I think what TAC-FIT has done for me is like the mental disconnect, the mental freedom, and two, the mobility of my body. So like everybody who trains jiu-jitsu knows we have our wear and tear, shoulders, elbows, knees, and all that.
Yeah.
But the moment I start actually moving club bells particularly, but just moving, you know, in TAC-FIT and getting certified and all that, that it really allowed me to move in directions I had never moved. So I dealt with many knee injuries and so on, and shoulders, and none of that really exists. At 47, I feel better than I was at 37.
Your knees feel better, your shoulder?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I've gone through, you know, doctors and other things, and there was, you know, surgeries and corrections suggested, and none of that had happened.
Nice.
Since then. So
that's great.
It's an amazing feeling.
Awesome. And have you, how about your students? Have some of the things trickled over into the student body and inside the school?
The biggest changes we've noticed is the fact that people come to jiu-jitsu and they do TAC-FIT before that, and they use that as many of them call them, you know, starting the engines, you know, kind of just moving, you know, and then getting into jiu-jitsu. But then many of them use it to cool it down and kind of, you know, instead of locking everything in and going to locker room and leaving, they take a few minutes just to cooling down and continue moving before everything locks in, you know, before we depart, and mentally and physically.
Doing cool downs.
Absolutely.
And those things like we did it in new class.
Yeah. So all that's been tremendous change for everybody. So we see a lot of benefits.
Nice. Going back to jiu-jitsu, what gets you excited? You know, there's a lot of things happening in the jiu-jitsu world. The Craig Jones, the ADCCs, they had the Worlds a couple weeks ago. What are some of the things that excite you when you think about jiu-jitsu?
You know, I think the evolution of jiu-jitsu is mind-blowing. So like when you think about it, 20 years ago, it was very slow progression, you know, and like Gracie's coming to U.S. years ago.
The learning was a lot slower.
Much slower. Today, I feel like if you just take off 6 months, you are so far behind with not only the evolution of jiu-jitsu, but what is happening in jiu-jitsu community. Like it is so tremendous. So seeing it growing to that level, it's really cool. And now even UFC is getting into, you know, the UFC arena, which it's interesting to see where this is going to go. You know, is this going to become a mainstream sport or not? Like it's all interesting.
UFC BJJ.
Yeah, that's new.
In the bowl, right? They have a bowl.
What do you think about that?
What do I think about the UFC? I mean, jiu-jitsu everywhere. It's great. Like I think ONE FC, I think it's phenomenal how they do it, and I think they should also get into kickboxing and Muay Thai, you know, kind of stuff. You know, like ONE FC does. I think it's phenomenal. I think they made a reality show, right? And they had Mikey Mitsumichi kind of as one of the coaches, and I don't know. I'm kind of like, I don't know if he's the best. I don't know. I don't know if he's the right guy I would have chosen maybe for that position, you know, that role. I don't know. I mean, his jiu-jitsu is he's like the best, like, you know, best in the world, you know. But I don't know. I don't know about that. Just because it's from when I started jiu-jitsu, and just the characters and the people that I was around. They were like very like say very alpha, right? Very like male, fighter kind of. That was the vibe, fighter. You're a fighter, right? And you look at Mikey, like he doesn't. Of course, he's a phenomenal. He's the best, athlete. But I don't know, just because you want different looks, right? First looks, and so I don't know if that tells the right story, or maybe it does. I don't know. So I'm not too sure about that. But I think it's phenomenal to have jiu-jitsu in the UFC, and I think they're doing good. They're doing a reality show. I don't know. I love jiu-jitsu, but seeing Isaac Doderline being in it, that's awesome. I know him, and he's a great guy. So, of course, I love the jiu-jitsu athletes. I just don't know. I'm not too attracted to the show. I'm not. That doesn't seem too interesting to me. And so I guess that's what I'm saying about that. I don't know. That's just me. And I love jiu-jitsu. I love like the ONE FC. I love the matches that they have. I always watch them. But the reality show, I don't know.
I guess we'll see.
Because like UFC, MMA, it's like, it's a war. Like and then Mikey Musumi, she's talking about it's violent. Jiu-jitsu is so violent, and Yeah, it is. But it's not like UFC. You know what I mean? And UFC is UFC. That's the pinnacle of combat. Fighting.
Yeah.
Pick up somebody over your head and slam them on their head, and submit them. Choke them, break their arm. So jiu-jitsu is combat, but it's not like that.
Yeah. You think that's a misrepresentation?
I don't know. I like Craig Jones, I don't know. We'll see. But I think Craig Jones, like the last CGI, man, it was epic. Top wrestlers in there, and it was represented well. Like Truly Brothers, like they're like athletes. They're like they look like they're fighters. I don't know. I'm whatever. I guess I don't want to feel like I'm a hater, but I guess I am. Just because I'm just looking at from the perspective of somebody that doesn't know jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
And the impression you make.
Well, they have a great opportunity, a lot of money. So we'll see if.
Yeah, we'll see how much money is put into jiu-jitsu. But jiu-jitsu as a lifestyle is growing like crazy. Because that's, if you're gonna do a martial art, that's the martial art you want to do. Like wrestling is, I think, a short time in your life, but jiu-jitsu you can do for the rest of your life, right?
Yeah. Well, and a lot of wrestlers convert into jiu-jitsu as a continuation, right?
Yeah. I think it's in a different place from when I first started, right? Back in the whatever it was, with jiu-jitsu. Nobody knew jiu-jitsu, so if you knew jiu-jitsu, you were like the king of the jungle, Really, because you could, you could beat wrestlers, you could beat whoever, right? Kickboxers, you could, it was the best, like in that fight aspect. I don't know. I think it's important, to have that feeling.
Yeah.
Of you're able to like dominate in that kind of a situation. And so I don't know, like I think it's great. I think that in a nutshell, it's great. I think it's great. There's eyes on jiu-jitsu. There's more opportunities for jiu-jitsu athletes to do stuff to make money.
Do you think that
But I don't know about the representation, especially for the first like whatever the first season,
Do you think that the gi is gonna disappear more since everybody is aiming for no gi?
I don't know. I don't think so. Like it's funny because like the people made that reel, right? And they're at the Master Worlds or whatever, and they're like it's like I think the same weekend was it last year this year the CGI is the same week as the Masters.
Yeah.
The gi is dead. Ha! Just kidding. There's like 100 mats at Master Worlds.
Yeah.
With the convention, jiu-jitsu convention, right? Going on too, right? And bro, like there's no 80cc. There's none of this no gi stuff if it wasn't for the gi.
For the gi.
It's all connected. It's all one.
It's all one.
It's a whole culture thing. And I think even like look at Ryan. Gordon Ryan,
Gordon
right?
Ryan, yeah.
he's gonna have gi classes in school, and it's like
I just saw that this morning.
Come on.
Yeah.
You can say what you want, and it's marketability. It's marketing, right? Like, oh yeah, I'm better than this. You should do both. And jiu-jitsu is jiu-jitsu, and I think even as being a student of the game, I mean, you want to always keep learning things, and you can learn stuff from wrestling, you can learn stuff from sambo, you can learn stuff from whatever, like striking things. I'm a martial artist, and I love all of it. If somebody has a trick that they do, I want to hear what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
If it's somebody that's done stuff and had success,
Continue learning.
Yeah. So I don't know. To answer your question, I think it's great, and hope for the best for that. It's cool that they put some money down and investing. There's also like the Mikey Mitsumichi guy. There's like he has another coach on there. It's like a brown belt, right? It's a black belt.
He just won Brazil Nationals.
Brazilian Nationals. Okay, I'm out of it then. I guess there's so many people, so many competitors.
I don't like it though.
Right? You don't know who he is.
No, it's Craig Jones is saying that
Craig Jones is saying
it's an exclusive thing. It's going into the monopoly. UFC doesn't want them to grow, so you're not growing the sport. He's like that's bullshit.
there's something about it that I don't really. It's not resonating for me.
That it's good money for you, fine.
They're trying to market. They're trying to strengthen the UFC brand, right?
To keep it, and that's not growing. They're trying to take people away from it.
They're trying to take away people from
If you
jiu-jitsu.
sign a UFC, then you can't sign anywhere else.
Oh, I got you.
Exclusive contracts.
Anywhere else.
Gotcha. Okay,
That's not
fair
growing the
enough.
sport.
We'll see how it goes, right? Like with social media and Craig Jones, like
Sometimes you're not sure what's right.
well, things move, right? Things get moved, so that makes sense. I think just I don't know the coaches that they have, like I don't know it's the right marketing, but maybe that's who they could get to sign exclusive contracts.
Exactly.
Right.
No one else wanted to sign.
Right. That makes sense. Nobody else wanted to sign exclusive contracts, so those guys signed exclusive contracts.
Yeah. They got to start somewhere, I guess, right?
Yeah, but for me, I'm like,
Yeah.
that's like UFC's the brand, right? It's the fight company, and then jiu-jitsu is my life, and then like that's who you're representing jiu-jitsu. Like Mikey's great, right? He's the man, but I don't know. There's maybe somebody else that could. Like a Chael Sonnen, right? Kind of type of guy, right?
Yeah.
Like Craig Jones would be that guy, right?
Yeah.
Craig Jones and somebody else, like some and Ryan, Gordon Ryan, right? Craig Jones and Gordon Ryan. That would be my
That would be interesting
my
matchup,
pick, right? Then you want to watch and see them talk smack and whatever else is gonna happen.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I guess we're gonna have to wait a little bit, right, and see what's gonna unfold.
Yeah. What else excites you about jiu-jitsu? You flipped it on me. You asked me.
Well, that's what I do.
So what gets you excited about jiu-jitsu?
This never-ending journey. When I was
like what in the world of competitions, do you love competitions?
I love watching them. I love watching them, and I think today is so accessible because we can see them at any time, anywhere. It's all stream-like. It's I remember way back in the day being a blue or purple belt, you had to fly out to California and Florida, which being in the Midwest is not so easy.
Yeah.
Right now you can fly in or you can watch it. You can watch it later. It's much more flexible.
Buy DVDs or VHS tapes back even earlier.
Do you remember those? Yeah. So it's much more accessible, and I guess that's part of the growth, right? It's watching these things and continue exploring and seeing how things evolve too.
Mm-hmm.
Like the things that we've done it 20 years ago, they look very different, and not necessarily they're irrelevant, but they have evolved with complexity and what guys do and how they do it. And you have these shifts, when years ago half guard perhaps was the dominant system, and now you have a lot of the attention to the leg locks and the lower body entanglements, and that game has shifted, or the game is shifting in that direction, and it's interesting to see how all of this evolves and continue changing, and there's always somebody pushing the envelope in one or another direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, things are always they're moving, right? And things that were old school become new school because the people forget about them or they just go out of style and then they come back. It cycles, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Do you think it ever goes away in the sense of like we stop using things? Or does it come
I
back?
think things that work, you know, I think they're gonna stay
Yeah.
because they work, you know.
Because they work. Yeah.
And there's levels of basics. There's levels of, you know, whatever you want to call it, closed guard. There's levels of knowledge, right?
Mhm.
And I don't think those things. If you know them, you know them. You know, it's not gonna matter. It's gonna work.
Yeah. Well, that's the.
And I think you got to be open to learning whatever is happening too. So you know, if somebody does that to you, you're not, you know, blindsided.
Blindsided. Yeah.
And you can still do what you do well.
Yeah.
You know, so you got to stay in the game, and you got to, you know, always be open to learning and.
That's the hard part, right? Like not being complacent and continue keeping your mind open, learning new things, staying with times.
It's hard, you know. I think for me that's exciting, you know, like different things, new things. Like my guys show me stuff. Well, have you seen this? No. Let me see.
Let me see. Yeah, teach me.
Yeah, and not just even jiu-jitsu, but other things about the health and how the body works, and I love it. You know, that's for me. It's not hard. It's I guess I always want to stay a student. You know. Yeah. When I was what about when you were younger? What got you excited when you first started doing jiu-jitsu? Let's go back in time. You're dad now, right? So you're in a different place in life.
Yeah.
What about when you first started doing jiu-jitsu when you were a young guy?
Well, first, it was different times, right? So like 25 years ago now. Yeah, 25 years ago, right? So like the only ways really to learn things was go to the academy, and we had some books that was rolling. Like DVDs didn't exist. Some VHS existed, but that was far in between.
So what got you excited? What got you like pumped up about
Going,
jiu-jitsu?
like for me, it was going. Like,
and what about it?
Like the mental stimulation, like the solving the puzzle, like figuring stuff out. You know, and I often like even use this analogy, like when we had books and we look at books, right? You had like 4 pictures on the page.
Yeah.
And like I remember sitting on the corner of the mat with guys and like trying to figure out how did they get from point A to point B?
Yeah.
Because there was no explanations. Like nobody taught you these things.
Yeah.
Today you can rewind and watch it and see what they say. But like if you look at a book, at pictures, like none of that existed. So like I remember sitting in a corner and trying to solve the puzzle and troubleshoot. And figuring stuff out. Like that was the reason.
I was just trying to think of what got me excited, and I think it's the people. You know, it's for example, I went to Texas because I was trying to train and find training, and Carlos Machado was in Dallas, Texas. He had just moved there. He was inside of Walker Texas Ranger Studio with Chuck Norris, you know? And he was the first black belt that I met and saw train, and the fact that he beat up everybody, he lined everybody up, and he took everybody out one by one, you know, like, you know, good athletes, whatever, took everybody out like it was nothing, you know. And I was like, that was inspiring. I was like, man, like I want to be like that. You know, that's what a black belt is. And then going to Brazil and seeing all these like just ridiculous level guys was motivational for me. I was like, that's what I want to do. That's how I want to be. That's what it means to be a black belt, you know. And then, like a couple weeks ago, we had Eric Muniz and his crew and the soldiers, jiu-jitsu guys from come here from Sao Paulo, and they're here for the Worlds, and they all dominated, right? Won, did really well. It's cool because I got to see the students' reactions, and you know they did a noon class, right? And then they stayed and trained with everybody, and like, man, people work right during the day usually, and people just. They called out of work. I'm not going to work today. I'm staying here. And nobody left. It was like for 2 hours, right? People were training, right, Kevin? Like nobody left because it was like that was inspiring, man.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to teach you some techniques, whatever, but they like got down and they trained with everybody, like that Carlos Machado did back in the day, and were lining everybody up, you know.
Well, like you create this special connection, right? Like you train with these guys,
Yeah, but I think for me, when I look back, it's like it's a lot of dedication, and not just dedication, but it's like, how do you become great? You know, what are they doing to become great? What are they doing to, you know, be the best in the world, right? And because that I don't know, like I look as a teacher, whatever, I want my students to, you know, be there, but reach their potential, right? And so I don't know, just to be around that elevates you.
Oh, absolutely.
The mirror neurons and whatever we want to call neuroscience stuff, right? But it's like just being around that elevates everybody, elevates their level. And so even at a subconscious level, just seeing that, being there, training with them, like elevates everybody. And that's cool. That's cool. Not to get all cerebral and you know, try to, you know, have it make sense. It's just like, it's like you feel it, right? You feel it.
But we need that, right? We need that to continue going forward, right? We need that motivation.
Yeah, that's that. Like I need it.
Yeah,
I need it. I can't speak for everybody, but I think I want to be inspired, and I'm inspired by my students. Sometimes my students, and in all different situations, right? Maybe not just even competing, but somebody's like, you know, trying really hard, or they're getting better. See somebody lose weight, and you know, you see them change as people, right, for the better, and that's cool. That motivates me. That gets me excited to come in and show up. You know,
is that best part of your job?
What's that?
Seeing these changes and people motivating you.
Yeah, the relationships. You know, seeing people grow and being a part of that, for sure. That's so much of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can say it's everything, but it's so much of it.
Yeah, most definitely. That's like probably the most rewarding part about being an instructor or being in the leadership role. Right?
Yeah.
Watching people grow and setting them for success.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, you know, because every time I ask you, you get all cerebral, and like, you get disconnected from your heart and feelings, and you're like, you know, I'm just trying to break down things. So I'm like asking you, like, what would get you excited? Like, for example, I sent Kevin a video of this guy Margarita. He won double gold, like his weight in the open weight, and back in Brazil. I think it was like 2004 or 5, whatever, something like that. And he won, and when he won a moped, and the girl that was, you know, working for the company, like a really beautiful girl, like he threw her on the back of the moped and cruised around the mat of the world, you know, like he kicked everybody's ass and he got the girl, you know, and just as a young kid, I was like, oh man, that's epic, you know, that got me excited, you know, like kick ass and, you know, get whatever, just, you know, that vibe, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, just like what got you excited doing jiu-jitsu? What kept you in the game? You know, I just want to hear. You know,
so like
from the heart. You know, not from the brain, but from the heart. What's gotten you? What was exciting for you back in the day? And what, you know, now we kind of talked about, like, you know, helping others and help them reach their best, be their best, whatever. But what kept you in the game? What got you excited when you were younger?
So like the solving the puzzle was a big part for me, like constantly trying to figure stuff out, right? But also like the connection between the guys. So like, you know, you go to the gym, you go to the academy, and you train together. And then you obviously put each other in a compromised position, so you build the trust between the people.
Did you watch Royce Gracie or any of these guys?
Oh, yeah. So like UFC.
Did you watch UFCs and be like, oh, this is it, you know?
So like the first UFC.
For me, that was, another thing that, like, man, this is amazing.
First of all, when I watched UFC for the first time, I thought it was fake. I was like, what is this nonsense?
I mean, it's like bare knuckle, no weights,
right?
Like, you know,
like pulling hair and.
And that's nothing. Pulling hair, like, you know, like headbutts and it's like in a cage, locked in a cage.
Absolutely. So like first you think, and I think a lot of people had that impression, you know, like is this even
fake?
Is this even real, right? But then you start watching.
I didn't think it was fake. Not when the sumo wrestler's teeth flew out of his face, you know, by the Gerard Cordero, you know, that was the first UFC fight. The guy kicked him in the face and his teeth flew out to the front row.
Yeah, what?
That's not. I don't know. That's either some good CGI, but they didn't have that back then. So I was like, oh,
it's happening, right?
Yeah. So for me, it wasn't fake. You know?
But I think deeper it went, they got even more real. Like these fights really escalated as they went on. You know, like it was interesting to watch all of this unfold. You know, and
what got you excited though? What got you excited to?
Well, like I think like
to do jiu-jitsu,
like
to you know, stay the course.
To stay the course?
Yeah, just to what got you excited
I think
to go find a gym, go train jiu-jitsu, and then stay with it. Like I love this. I want to do this.
So the first part of all of this is the fact that Eric, shout out to Eric, who introduced me to jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
You know, he got me in jiu-jitsu, and
He was the guy that you worked with.
Yes, So he was my boss,
There you go.
and he was a blue belt
Yeah.
at that time, right? And he came into the office every single day with his gi, with a belt, and so on. And he kept talking about it. And
What would he say?
it's just like, you should try this. You know, this is kind of cool. And he showed me little things. You know, and this is way back in 2000. So like, there's no websites, there's none of that, right? So there's nothing to look up to or look up as far as jiu-jitsu is concerned. So he kept talking to me, but I didn't want to listen. Like I didn't want to work out and none of that. I was not in a physical shape, right? So like, but finally, like I said, fine, I'll go and try it, you know. And I went to try it, and I said this story so many times, but it's inspiring because Carson Gracie, I met Carson Gracie Sr.
Okay.
So I don't know who this guy is, right? It's like, it's an old guy sitting in a corner, right? And he barely speaks English. So he runs the class, and he pairs me up.
He was teaching the class.
He was.
Wow.
He was.
Carlson Gracie
Carson
Sr.
Gracie, yeah,
That's
Senior,
cool.
right? And he paired me up with Miguel Torres. Miguel was purple belt then.
Yeah, wow.
Right.
He's a Chicago legend, MMA.
Yeah, right. Yeah. WUC,
Yeah.
UFC, right? So he pairs me up with him, and Miguel's like 140, right? And I'm well over 200, right? And Miguel just runs circles around me. He taps me out so many times, I have no idea what is happening. And I remember to this day, I remember going to locker room after the class and sitting down and thinking to myself, I have no clue what happened to me. Like, it's a blur. You
just looked down.
I kept holding my head, and I was like, I don't know what happened to me.
Yeah,
a guy half of my size literally twisted me, mopped the floor with me, did whatever he wanted, and with no effort, right? And from that moment, I was hooked. Like I remember sitting there,
learn this.
and I was like, I need to come back to this. I don't know what happened, but I need to figure this out, you know. And I feel like being in an engineering field and like having this being forced to troubleshoot things really drove me to that.
That's good.
So I remember Miguel, I remember Stefan Bonner, rest in peace. I remember all these guys. Like I remember Stefan Bonner getting ready for Tough. All this was happening all around me, and I think back then at that time we didn't appreciate all these because we just didn't know any better. You know, and now looking at retrospect, I think, you know, that group of guys was like the lucky cats. You know, like we were surrounded by all these guys and part of this history, not even knowing that was being created. You know, so like that was the beginning of all of this. You know, so I find myself fortunate to, one, Eric introducing me to it, and two, you know, me giving it a shot. You know, taking this opportunity,
seeing these guys at that time, being around those guys. Yeah.
So a lot of little lessons there, right? And you know, then you know, even just learning and being surrounded by that mentality of, you know, even like I remember Carson had this drill that we did, you know, Shark Tank. I mean, everybody has done this, but you can imagine that drill with guys like, you know, Staffen or Miguel, you know, you in the middle, and you got 10 guys around you, and you just, you know, surviving more than anything else. All that creates a certain level of resilience, you know, troubleshooting, survive, and get yourself out of there. And I think long term, all that builds these skills in our life that we need them in everyday, you know, everyday life, and all that just builds us to be better people.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, okay, that's good. It's good. Yeah, being around that same level, right?
Yeah,
you feel it, and you're like, oh, I got to figure this out. I want in on this. That's cool.
Yeah, and I even remember like Carson putting Miguel in the middle. And he always said, if he can escape and he's half of your size, you should be escape too. So like that was a motivation. That was like, you know, I mean, he's right. If somebody half my size can escape, but why can't I?
Yeah.
You know, and like mentally, you know, as a male even, you know, like
as a man, right?
As a man, that survival, that the ability to protect, you know, was very present.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that in some ways shaped like my personality and where life went from that point, you know. So
yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about the Pan American Games, the IBJJF Pan Ams, Pro Pans, whatever you want to call them, in the early 2000s. Now they're in Orlando again.
Yeah.
But in the early 2000s, I think 99 did it in Miami, and then it was like
They were in
2000, 2001, 2002. Like for some years, they were in Orlando, and the weigh-ins used to be the day before.
Mm-hmm.
The weigh-ins used to be the day before the tournament,
Mhm.
so you would weigh in the day before, and it was like all day weigh-ins, right? Or I don't know what it was, probably a certain time, but you would wait in line for like hours. And a lot of people but some people, I have some pictures of the line, just and it's funny, like everybody that stood in that line at that time, they're all like black belts, and maybe they have schools or not, but they're black belts, and they stuck with it, because for you to be that committed to staying in line, it was in the sun too, right? Like those are the days, right? You had to be committed, and that's what it took. And it changed. Of course, the UFC changed like the whole martial arts world, but then this jiu-jitsu lifestyle thing kind of came in on the what do you call it, coattails, right, of that. And within that, it's changing so many lives, and it's a beautiful thing. So many people all around the world that would, you can say, people like save my life or make my life better, but they wouldn't have it without those pieces, right? Those moving pieces.
Yeah, as cliche as it sounds, like it does change lives.
Yeah.
It gives us these lessons, and it improves our lives.
What about I had Paul Schreiner, talked to Paul Schreiner yesterday, and he was in New York City with 15 years with Marcelo.
Marcelo, yeah.
Did you ever watch MG in action?
Yeah. That's like
one
of the original online services, right?
Did you spend a lot of time watching it?
Yeah, I watched some of it. Yeah, especially in the earlier days.
Would you study
Marcelo? Yeah, he's like one of the guys I look up to. The entire time.
For sure. Yeah. So we were just talking about it and how much. I was just curious, because you have video content now with the Roll TV and stuff. But I think the whole world, the whole jiu-jitsu world, like, spent time at MG in action, and of course studying Marcelo. Before the MG in action, he had these X-Guard tapes, VHS tapes that were like, man.
Well, he might have been, I don't know if he was, but he might have been one of the more original guys who put content on video, wasn't he?
Like legit, like modern jiu-jitsu stuff. Yeah, he was. I mean, the X-Guard, we were joking, he probably got paid a couple $1,000s to sell these VHS tapes, because back in those days nobody was watching out for you, and it was a different time, but it made an impact, right, all around the world in the jiu-jitsu world. And of course now the market's much bigger. I think it's still very small, but it's much bigger than what it was, right, in those days. So but just the impact that he had on the jiu-jitsu world and jiu-jitsu itself. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Just talking to him yesterday.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I had him on my show too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What did you guys talk about?
Just life. Like I just love talking to these guys about just life. Like, how did it all started? Like one of the questions that I always ask is like, how was your first day? Like we often don't even think about that.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Like how was your first, like legit? Like,
how was Paul? What did Paul say?
I don't remember now. I don't remember now. It was a while back, like a year ago.
How was my first day?
Yeah, how was your first day? Do you remember your first day?
Yeah, I do. I always say it, like my friend who got me to go to do jiu-jitsu, he armbarred me like 10 times. Yeah, he was like 10 pounds, 15 pounds, whatever. He was like he was lighter than me, much smaller. And he armbarred me, and I couldn't believe it. So I was like, let's go again.
You thought it was a fluke, huh?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it that he could do that to me.
That's how I felt.
And so I was like, I want to learn this. I want to know this. And then it made me feel good every time I trained.
Yeah.
And then my friend Amal Easton,
Yeah.
went to Brazil, and he took me to some tournaments out here in California, and that's it. That's all she wrote. It was over,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a great guy.
Yeah.
I like hearing those stories about you guys living there, and that was a good time.
Yeah, for sure. Good times, different times and special times, because it's not gonna happen again like the way it was. That was where jiu-jitsu was, right? Like Rio, like really the culture and everything of it.
Do you think it was better back then? From like,
You can't compare. It's different. Different apples and oranges. You know, it's like now it's with the pyramid. The worlds are here, and it's cool. It's a different era, different place. Gi no gi. There's all these UFC. There's all these different things. Back in those days, it was like everything was one. You know, guys that were competing in the worlds, they were fighting in the cage and doing that too, like the Carlson Gracie guys. And so it was just a different time.
yeah,
Maybe there was less practitioners, but the people that were actually in it, like the high level guys, were like true masters, you know. So so I think it's can't compare. It's like it's different times. One of the good things that I like about that was very, like I talked to Paul about it, just about how it was like very like fight, like, you know, kill or be killed. Like you went to submit, you know, your opponents. You know, you didn't try to win by points. You went to fight, and you went to submit your opponent.
yeah. Do you feel like the game turned into that point game now? Is more about winning?
It's just different. It's different. It's very like advantages, and it's just different especially for IBGF. No, it just depends on, say, I can't generalize like the whole everybody, because everybody's different. Like like my friend Alexandre, he's like he's totally old school Carlson Gracie, like not just he has his own style, like submission based movement, you know, aggressive style, you know. So yeah, it's the whole, everything is like that. No, it's whole different universes. Yeah.
That's part of the evolution, right? Things continue changing.
Yeah, but I can't generalize. There's IBJF has his own thing, and it's cool. They have ADCC, CGI. It's cool. There's a lot of great things happening. The BJJ for UFC is cool, and all these different avenues for the guys to compete and to make money and to make a living from it and get hype behind them and get followers and get people to, you know, buy in on their personality and their techniques and whatever, you know, their brand, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's cool. It's a good time. Good time to be doing jiu-jitsu, and I think it's gonna just get better.
Yeah, and give them an opportunity for people to make money too. You know, like they can pay. Finally, they can get paid for it. You know, so that's good stuff. Continue growing.
Yeah, that's it. And you brought a few guys out, right? For for to LA, for
Shout
Chicago.
out to Timmy, Jimmy, Pete. And Mike, they came out with me, and you know, they had a great time. We were just eating downstairs and kind of reflecting on the last 3 days, and they loved it. I mean, they love it. You know, having a good time
here at Legacy and training.
Yeah, it's good to get out of your own circle and visit something else. You know, and explore and walk into the room full of sharks. You know, and not only test yourself, but also see, you know, how other people do it, you know, while you quote unquote on vacation, you know, like that's a great feeling.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we were able to do it. And I you know, I'm hopeful there's more.
Yeah. Hope so too. What do you think coming in from the outside? What makes Legacy special?
I think it is a very unique feeling the moment you walk into the room. So I'll tell you, like 3 days ago, I walked into the room. Before the door shut behind me, there was like 4 people literally with their arms up, and it's like, "Whoa, what's up, man? Good to see you." Like that doesn't happen often in many places, you know. And I think that feeling is something that you've built that is irreplaceable. And if, you know, my head goes off to you like that. That's an amazing environment. And, you know, I'm not even speaking like even today. What was it, 12 or 14 black belts and, you know, 30 other people on the mat, you know, at a random noon class, you know, like that doesn't happen in many places, you know. And I've been to like the Sunday trainings that you guys have, where it's like 60 or 70 people and 30 black belts, you know, like. Again, walking into a room like this, especially when you come from a smaller academy, it's the motivator factor that you talked about. You know, like you go back home and it's like, I really want to train. Like this really motivates and really pushes, and you want to get back and you want to share the experience. You want to get back on the mat. You want to get better, and you want to go back again. You know, that's amazing. That's an amazing feeling.
Nice, cool. Well, I appreciate you being out here. Appreciate you coming up and hanging out a little bit and talking about jiu-jitsu and everything. A little bit your perspective on things, and look forward to having you guys out again soon.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on the show. It was the third time, I think.
Yeah.
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 Thanks for having me. Thanks for having us. It's always a blast to have you, and thanks for your hospitality and support, love, and all that. So
Thank you, brother. Thank you.